Yeah, from that degree, I ended up going back to university again and studying to be a teacher. My mum is very creative, so she was always very keen for me to go to art school. And even my father, who didn't really understand it very well, never interfered really or never gave me advice contrary to doing it. He was just happy that I was doing something that he could see that I thought was meaningful. So I had a
Yeah.
lot of support
So,
starting out. What were the challenges starting out?
yeah.
The big challenge starting out is building credibility. You know, that's a big challenge because you're always trying to attract, and it's just that makes your day. You know, as a
Yes,
person, also as a gallery owner,
absolutely.
that's been awesome, and we hope to show his work again down the track. But at the moment, he's at university. He wants to have some free space without
Right.
the commercial part.
Yeah,
of
validation.
practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone approaches us where we go, "Well, we're going to have to find a way to get this person into the mix because they really excite us as an artist."
You like it. Welcome to the podcast, Ren, joining us
Oh,
from
thank
Australia.
you. Thank you for having me. It's really nice to be with you tonight. For me, anyway, it's nighttime. Um,
Oh,
I'm talking to you from near Geelong, which is
okay.
a city in Victoria, Australia.
Yeah. Okay.
It's quite a large city, about an hour out of Melbourne, and so
Okay.
I'm one of the directors of an art gallery
Yeah.
in Geelong called Boom Gallery, um,
Yeah.
and Geelong itself is a city of around 200,000, maybe 220,000 people, and
Okay.
has a few people in its region. And so we are running a regional gallery. My background is someone who's always had a love for making artwork and went to university and studied fine art back in the late 80s. And
Okay.
from that degree, I started, I ended up going back to university again and studying to be a teacher. Uh,
Okay.
because, as you find as a young art student, there's not a lot of jobs out there
Yeah.
for
Yes.
you and the
Yeah.
reality of, working and making an income. So I chose the path of becoming a teacher, which I did for about 15 years. Uh,
Wow. And you
yeah,
you taught art?
Yeah, taught art and graphic design. So we call it visual
Wow.
communication and design here. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, would have different names all around the world. And
Yeah.
that was really fun. That was with high school students. So probably for about age of 12 to about 16, 17, 18 sort of age group.
Okay.
And while I was teaching, I was also organising small group exhibitions with other local artists. And we would
Okay.
utilise venues like cafes and other public spaces, and it
Okay.
was something I really enjoyed. And I suppose that led me into the idea of running a gallery and organising something a bit more formal. Yeah.
Okay.
So in
Okay.
in
Yeah.
2011 we opened the gallery. That was the start of
2011. That makes it about 60. My math's really bad.
14.
15.
Yeah, we've been going for about 14
14.
years. Yeah. So we started off the gallery with a whole bunch of local artists, so artists from
Yeah. Okay.
Geelong and our surrounding region,
Okay.
people that I knew mostly, um,
Hmm.
as you do, and we started with a very small budget, and we utilised
Okay.
an old industrial building in Geelong. It was actually an old woolen mill. So it was a place. Geelong's got a long history of within the wool industry. It really made its wealth from wool
I
here in
missed.
Australia.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
so
missed you in between. Yeah.
Geelong has a real history of wool production and made a lot of its wealth out of wool and sheep. So
Okay.
we were able to use one of the old industrial buildings and set up a
Okay.
gallery within this old factory, pretty much. And we had a coffee bar in there as well, like a very simple cafe
Wow.
to try to
Okay.
attract people into the space. And look, things just grew, and we then saw a need for artists who needed studios. We often get a lot of artists asking us, "Do you have studio spaces?" And then that was something we really took up. And we have something called Boom Creative Spaces, and that's a network of
Okay.
studios and creative offices. So we have
So
over,
you, oh,
yes,
so
yes,
that's
yeah,
real estate and physical studio spaces that
yes,
you release or lease out to artists.
we do. Yeah, we have about 60
Oh, wow.
different tenants.
Oh, wow.
And some of them have, staff and, are businesses. Others are single artists who have studio spaces. So it's actually a wonderful aspect of our business
Community.
because it
Yeah.
keeps you in touch with people working at, at ground level
Yeah.
as well. A few of those show and exhibit with the gallery, but not all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Mm. Tell me something. How's growing up for you in Australia? Were you very, I don't know how it is in Australia, honestly, specifically where you're coming from. Is art very accessible? It's ingrained in your daily lives. It's is do you often buy depending on like how accessible or how integrated it is into lives, and how growing up in India, art is not as integrated, like art as fine art. We're a craft oriented country first, but I wouldn't say every household, specifically below a certain, it's only for the affluent, let's say. That's the cultural norm. But it's gotten better, it's changed. How was it for you growing up? Like, did
Mm.
you, your parents, and that influence your perspective as being an artist?
Good questions, and I'll try to describe as best I can. So
No
my
problem.
parents came to Australia as migrants in the 50s,
Okay.
1950s, and so my
And where
father's
did they came from?
my father's Italian, and he was an Italian
Wow.
migrant. So he came here after the war in 1951, and
Okay.
he came from a very simple farming background, very poor upbringing, and he really came here for work and for a new life. And he met my mother, who's from Holland. She's a Dutch migrant. She came here in the 1955 of a very large family, and she came from more of a middle class family. And they fell in love, and she was only very young, and got married. And I'm the
Okay.
third child. So I grew up in a house, I suppose, that had a European influence, and
Yeah.
probably my mum is very creative. And so
She is.
yeah, so she was always very keen for me to go to art school, and even my father, who didn't really understand it very well, never interfered really or never gave me advice contrary to doing it. He was just happy that I was doing something that he could see that I thought was meaningful. So I had a lot
Yeah.
of support. Um, so
Okay.
in school here, in primary school and in high school, art is a key subject. It's taught all the way through to year 12. So right, from a 5-year-old to 18. So it is quite important. As you get older, probably around that 14 years of age, then you get to choose your subjects. But
Yeah.
before that, it's pretty compulsory that you do art and design.
Okay.
So pretty much every student growing up here in Australia would be
Hmm.
exposed to the arts at a fairly
Exposed to
good
it.
level, I think. It doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily mean they will end up leaving school wanting to go to galleries and, different things, but
Yeah.
we probably all have an arts education of some sort. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, so and then you have all the different tiers of galleries and levels of interacting with the arts. Um,
Yeah.
we purposely put a cafe into our gallery all those years ago to try to get people into the gallery that wouldn't normally maybe visit a gallery. So the idea was you can come in for a coffee.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
buy some
It
biscuits
makes
or
it
a
more
cake. Yeah,
accessible.
accessible. Yeah. So we
And
got
like,
yeah.
even in India, sorry, even in India, like, now how many people really do go to the galleries? And even if somebody does, they are afraid to ask questions. They're afraid to look at art because they feel, oh, they may not understand, they may not even ask relevant questions, or that, oh, they can't even afford it. What's the point of even, going, like having these spaces really change the perspective, and also uh, creates a bridge between the viewer and the art, and makes it like an easy encounter than an intimidating one.
Mm. Yeah, well, look, if anyone's out there listening and they're thinking about maybe starting a gallery and they're wanting to get engagement with the general public, and I think having a hospitality, like a food aspect to it, a cafe or a
Hmm.
restaurant or a bar or something like that, just something to help soften. And the other thing we did, we also put like how would you describe it? Like a design gallery in the entrance to our gallery. So a space that people could feel comfortable in. So small ceramics, jewelry, um, things that are a bit softer the sort of items you
Yeah.
might find in a gift store, but very
Yeah.
elevated, very handmade, very bespoke, very
Yeah.
beautiful. But it felt like an easier entrance than just stepping straight into a gallery.
Yeah.
So we sort of
Yeah.
funneled people through this safe space. Then
Yeah.
suddenly
I
we
like
might
that
get
idea.
people who have ordered the coffee and they've got waiting
Hmm.
for the takeaway coffee, and while they're waiting for the coffee, they go for a walk and
You
they've
look
just done a
at.
lap of an exhibition. So that was a
Hmm.
really wonderful way to get people involved in exhibitions in
Hmm.
that regular, monthly different shows up and we found people starting to engage in an ongoing way. Yeah. Yeah.
That. Okay. So let's say, can you also take me through your perspectives? Specifically, like even myself, like, once your one perspective of everything is while you've experienced things as an artist, and then there's another perspective while you are in the ecosystem as either an organization, curator,
Yes.
gallery, you know the business side of the things.
Yes.
um how has that shaped your overall perspective, and do you feel like were you not enough prepared, or what you didn't know then but know now, and that could really shape artists for the future?
Oh, good question. And, we've been running our business now for 14 years and it's slowly built up over a period of time. And, coming from an artist perspective and still practicing, even though I've let my practice go dormant over the last year or two and have really I found it too much to be having my own practice plus running our
Yeah.
business. It's a small business.
Yeah.
There's myself and Kate who run and own the business, and then we probably have a staff of 3 or 4 that are part-time. So there's a lot to manage, and there's a lot just to remain viable as a business as well. It's not an easy we're in regional
Easy.
Australia. It's
Absolutely.
not an easy path to take. It's not a
Hmm.
money-making venture, that's for sure. We would I could probably make a better income over the last 14 years from just teaching if I look at the
Hmm.
whole 14 years. I'm not saying that you cannot make money from it, but if you're just going into it to make money, then it's probably gonna
Maybe.
compromise how you run the
Hmm.
gallery.
Right. Hmm.
Um, so being an artist and coming from an artist background, I feel like I am always thinking about how would this interaction with the business look like from their perspective. So I've built up a lot of really great friendships with our artists. I mean, I feel like our artists, we don't have contracts, like formal contracts that bind the artist to our gallery. We're in regional Australia. We it'd be very hard for us to to make an artist sign up just with us exclusively for our whole state. Whereas some bigger galleries above us would do that. It'd be quite a general practice. So what we
Hmm.
have are con you know, relational sort of arrangements, where it's they trust us, we trust them, we enjoy their company, they enjoy our company, we look after them, they look after us, we have integrity, we
Hmm.
ask them to have integrity back. And so you get a relationship of people wanting to work with you because they can trust you to not only show their work in a good context and to represent them in a great way, but also to treat them well. In other words, paying people on time. Yeah, just basic stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
photographing their work professionally when it comes in and maintaining a good
Hmm.
website,
Yeah.
speaking about their work correctly, um, not allowing work that you do not think is strong enough to sit alongside their work. So protecting the integrity of their art practice. So, it's being a curator, running a gallery, managing an artist stable, being an artist as
Yeah.
well. It's a very interesting combination. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Like, also keeping in touch with the creative, like, and I also love the idea of having artist studios, because having so many artists in one place, I think that the benefit it does for artists and the community, having that community angle, and then also, um, there's so much more potential of what one can do one day together, and then also have your own isolation, because a lot of artists feel very lost. And, somebody who's just starting out, I think the amount of direction they can get in their own work and career is incredible. Okay, tell me something. Well, what were your biggest challenges starting out? Now you've been around for 14 years. So that's pretty long. So
Starting out, what were the challenges starting out?
yeah, yeah,
The big challenge starting out is building credibility. That's a big challenge because you're always trying to attract, what you would look. There's a lot of arty people out there, a lot of creative people out there, but I'm very careful with that word artist because I feel like that word should be it's like there's a lot of cooks, but there's only a few chefs. You know,
absolutely.
everyone can be artistic and we can all be creative
Hmm.
and we can all make things and do things, but the designation of artist, I sort of reserve as much as I can, reserve that for people that have a practice that spans over a period of time.
Hmm.
They don't have to be trained. That's not got anything really to do with it, although it can help. But I look for a practice that's consistent. Some people, they walk through this world as an artist. They can't change. It's like it'd be impossible for them to do something else because that's their
Yeah,
greatest gift, like that's who they are.
yeah,
That's how they see the world and that sort of stuff. So I try to work with people that, because, you know, I don't want to run a picture gallery. I don't want to create a space that's just images that we're just trying to
yeah,
sell. It has to have
yeah.
some integrity about the work and the practice.
Hmm.
So it's so important for us to be working actually with artists. Now, those artists can be on all different levels. They're not all
Yeah,
this, you have
same level.
emerging
Yeah,
artists, mid-career, and then established artists. Well, we probably work a lot with emerging artists and early mid-career artists.
okay.
That's our thing.
Yup.
Now,
Yeah,
one of the reasons why we can't necessarily work with that next level of artists that's been, practicing at a really high level for a long, long time is because we're a regional gallery and they probably, there's a tier system in the galleries. There's entry level galleries for anyone can participate. Then there's, you know, galleries that it's harder to get into. And then there's galleries that are really hard to get into. And then there's galleries where you don't approach them, they approach you. You
they
know,
approach you. Yeah,
it's the whole thing. And, there are galleries where you go in there as a customer, and these would exist more in
yeah,
the capital city. So in Australia, it would be
yeah,
Melbourne and Sydney, where they look
yeah.
you up and down when you come in to see if you got money or not. Are you the kind of person that would buy art? That kind of thing. So there's that
Yeah,
type of gallery right down to the very bottom, community-led, not-for-profit, very accessible spaces. And I'm a great supporter of actually all the levels because I think all the
yeah.
levels are important.
Have their
Even
own
the
value.
snobby ones at the very top are important, you know? And then the entry
Yeah,
level ones are just as important. So I like to support those as much as I can locally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the entry ones are specifically so important is because the amount of artists that we have, like, today, as in we're moving forward every day, the number is increasing. And even then, artists need avenues. And, it's also a chicken egg problem. Once you go to someone, people ask you to have more exposure and more work and show your more work and etc. And then while they want to show more work, everybody wants a history. So people who are focusing on emerging artists, they become launch pads for artists to get confidence, to be able, we have this feedback so many times while, artists submit on our platform. And I think this is one of the biggest takeaway while we curate the books and do everything is once they submit their applications, there is a certain structure they have to follow. They have to document their work a certain way. They have to photograph their work a certain way. And then if they're selected, the book, the editorial, the questions we ask them, you know, uh, that has to be done in a certain way. So if we are doing digital interviews, so we ask them a lot of questions, which gives them and helps them the entire experience. If they go through the system, they are once, before publishing and after publishing, the whole difference is they now know how to package their work. They now know a lot more about themselves and questions they never had the time, or somebody asked them or gave them a platform. So nobody has to, I feel like you don't have to reach on top of the funnel to be able to go through such experiences that can help you shape your practice more than internal than external. And I think they're really, really helpful. How do you find, as a gallery, how did you find your sweet spot when it came to what kind of work you wanted to show that had commercial success, but also brought you satisfaction as a creative, as a gallery, as a curator? Like
Oh, that's
finding that.
yeah. Yeah, really interesting question because I feel like as a gallery, it's never fixed. You never do find that sweet spot because the artists you work with, even though you have a stable, and the idea of a stable of artists sort of means they are stable and they stay with you for a long period of time. But in reality, that's not how it works. We have artists that we've found, that we've
Hmm,
helped, that we've
hmm,
elevated, and then we see
hmm,
them depart from us and on friendly terms, because this is part of the
hmm.
process. They will then go
Yeah,
to a really good gallery in Melbourne or Sydney and sign contracts with those galleries, and we can't show
yeah,
them anymore.
yeah,
So we've experienced that multiple times. I'm happy about that. I'm
yeah,
glad that I'm part of that conduit of helping someone,
yeah,
taking them. And now that's not always the case. We have others that stay with us and who actually would prefer to stay with us and have been offered other opportunities and say, no, we're going to stay with Boom because we have a good relationship with the directors. We like the gallery. We've found it's good for our art and for us as people. So that's fantastic too. So um, in terms of a sweet spot, um, there are some highlights. Like I would like to share one story with you.
okay,
Um,
absolutely.
that happened a few years ago. We had this young guy come into the gallery probably on a weekly basis with his skateboard under his arm, and he was only 16.
Okay,
After
okay,
because I thought I'm going to have to go and talk to this guy, because what he would do, he'd just stop in front of every artwork in an exhibition and spend 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes in front of each work, staring at it, holding his skateboard, quiet, just interacting with the work. And so I started having a conversation with him, and he was a fantastic young guy, and I could tell he was an artist, and he would make artwork on anything. He was a skater, a very good skater, and he would find rubbish like junk, cardboard, bits of old timber, old bits of signs and stuff like that. He'd collect them, bring them back to his house, and paint on them. And his whole bedroom was covered in artwork. His lounge room was covered in artwork, and that's what he loved doing. And so I went to his studio and I said, "We're going to have a little exhibition of your work. Would you like to do that?" And he's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And so at the age of 16, turning
wow,
17, he had a little exhibition just in our cafe area in the gallery walls,
okay,
and it went really well. And he was actually a fantastic person. And then after that, we gave him another opportunity, and then another opportunity, and another opportunity. And he had a lot of solo exhibitions. And now he's
wow,
actually having a break at the moment because he's at university studying, and he's doing his fine arts degree at Victoria College of the Arts. And it's just that makes your day, as a person,
yes,
but also as a gallery owner. Just
absolutely.
yeah, that was all. That's been awesome, and we hope to show his work again down the track. But at the moment, he's at university. He wants to have some free space without the
Try something.
commercial part
Yeah,
of
validation.
practice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's been that.
okay,
Things like that are lovely. Yeah.
interesting. What's the most challenging part as a gallery while you're trying to sell art, build a collector base? Um, Share your insights and experience stories from that. Weirdest experience to something that you feel is not often talked about.
Yeah, well, running a gallery, was like, well, it's a small business. So running a business for two people that aren't from a business background is a challenge to begin with. So, you've got to learn a lot of things about a lot of stuff. And one thing I learned years ago was when you can't do something well yourself, you should engage a specialist. So if
Absolutely.
I'm not good at graphic design, I don't know how to build a website. I don't know how to do
Yeah.
accounting. I don't know how to do my
Yeah.
bookwork. Yeah.
Yeah.
So engage professionals, and it, 'cause you don't want to pay the money at first because you very small business, you know,
Yeah.
but you need an accountant. You can't, you need, and actually
You can't extend.
you don't just need them. They actually help you to have a successful business. So I think
Yeah.
engaging specialists has been really great. Um, Working with artists, like one of my passions is the city I live in. So we live in Geelong, And it's sort of always been looked down upon a little bit from, well, we feel that way anyway, because it's like the
Why?
second largest city in Victoria. Melbourne gets all the glory and
Yeah.
the spotlight. So there is a
Okay.
sense that, we're gonna show you that we can do something great too here in Geelong. And I have that attitude for our artists as well, because we have a lot of local artists that we still represent. Now, we have artists from all across Australia now. A lot of our artists are based interstate. Now, we also have a couple of
Okay.
artists who operate overseas who send work to us as well, which has been really
Okay.
wonderful. So for me, mixing local artists in with some of the best artists from around the country and then some artists from overseas, I think that's really good for our culture here in Geelong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other
So
thing is,
at the
yeah,
moment, it's just not Australian artists. It's not just Geelong artists. You also have artists from different parts of the world, and you try to inculcate a mix.
that's right. We're just starting to branch out a little bit with that. And we've got someone from Ireland that shows with us. We've just had someone from the UK that's had a small show with us. So
Ever had someone from India?
we've not had anyone from India, not yet.
Yes,
But I'm sure
not
there's
yet, but you
many
should.
great artists over there. It's just
Oh, absolutely.
the logistics of it are quite
Yeah.
difficult. So you tend to work with
Yeah.
artists who work small because it's cheaper
Small.
and
Yeah.
easier to post and things like that.
Yeah.
So, or they might come unframed and then we have to frame them here. And it just makes it trickier. Also
Yeah.
with unsold work, how do you get that work back to the artist? So you really, you really need to trust that relationship. You need to trust the work. You need to, and it's, you want it to be an ongoing relationship as well, I think.
Absolutely. And the energy that goes into putting everything together, you want to make sure that it's worth it for you and for the artist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but it's fun and it's
Yeah.
exciting. But yeah, it's been a really good journey. Not this next month, but the month after, we have another younger artist showing with us at the gallery, and he's from
Okay.
Tasmania. Now,
Cool.
do you know Tasmania? It sits on its own
Yeah.
island below Australia, and it's its own state.
Yeah. It's good.
And so it's really interesting. He does figurative work, and so working with him, he was really looking for an opportunity to show work on the mainland, you know,
Oh,
and we were able to provide that opportunity. So little
yeah.
things like that are quite
That
lovely
matter.
to be a part
Yeah.
of someone's journey, especially for an emerging artist. So yeah.
How do you figure out, okay, this is the artist that I want to work with, this is the artist I want to show, or this is a good fit for our gallery? Do you have a specific aesthetic that you are interested in, a story, a narrative, a medium? What's your language?
Mm. Well, it's very interesting. That's a big question because we get a lot of emails every week. We would have 3 to 4, sometimes we might get 5 emails from artists from all around the world looking to show. So there's a lot of demand out there. There's a lot of creative people that are looking to exhibit, and I
Yeah.
think, we have a fairly good profile online, especially through our social media account.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people follow us, and then a lot of people approach us as well. They probably think we are
Yeah.
really approachable. We have a mixture of styles and age groups and media and techniques in our stable of artists. So I think we do get approached a lot. Often we only have 2 exhibition spaces and we already have a lot of artists that we work with. So sometimes it's very hard to put new artists into the
New
mix.
artists. Yeah.
But sometimes someone approaches us where we go, "Oh, we're going to have to find a way to get this person into the mix because they really excite us as an artist."
You like it.
There's no formula for that, though. I can't tell you what that looks like, but what I would say
Okay.
is it might be say a gallery might have a lot of landscape-based artists but they really would like to get a figurative artist into their space. So if a figurative artist approaches us at the correct time and it's good work, then there might be an opportunity for
Yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a timing thing. Some people just have that bit of that X factor as well, where you just go, "Oh, wow, that's pretty amazing work." And I think when you're art trained, that's the other thing too. When you're running a gallery and you're actually an artist yourself, you've had art training, and so is my business partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see things in work that maybe the general public may miss, you know, so you're looking for things. And I can't describe to you what all those things are because, um, they might just be specific to me. Um, I am looking for skill, but skill's
It's
only
also,
one attribute, it's only one
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
And,
what's
and
goes deeper, right? I think the kind of stories you want to tell, the people, the feeling that you can target with a work or a show,
and
that
we always
can
have this
also a
great,
message.
yeah, this great balancing act because we're a commercial gallery. At the end of the day, we are a
Yeah,
commercial
ideally.
art
Yeah, you're
gallery,
also absolutely.
but I feel like we also offer a big community service as well with our
Yeah.
gallery and what we do in our city. And it's important. And, but we are a commercial gallery. So that's really hard though, isn't it? Because, then you're trying to think, well, would that be desirable for someone to purchase? Now, but
Mm,
that can't be the only factor either. We can't just go, "Oh, that'll sell really well. We'll have that work in." If that's our
yeah.
standard, then we would allow a lot of work come into the gallery that might not actually be good for the gallery or might not be good for our stable of artists, but it might sell well. So we've got to be very careful. So some things that we're very careful about in terms of our own gallery is we love original work made by the artist. We don't deal in secondary prints of a painting. If someone made a painting and then they did a limited edition run of 50 posters of that painting, we won't sell those posters,
Yeah.
nor will we sell the original artwork because we don't want it to be reproduced like that, right? So it's
Okay.
that's just one of the things that we do.
You.
All
Yeah.
right. So, but we understand that artists need to make money and need to put food on the table and need to
Absolutely.
eat.
Yeah.
So if they
And there's
need,
no one fixed path.
that's the hard bit. But I would see sometimes it depends what the artist wants to achieve with their practice and where they want to get to. But sometimes I would see those things as shortcuts to success. So you might do that and it might bring in some extra money at the time, but it may erode your integrity as an artist long term. If you do want to get into a top tier gallery in a capital city and do the international art fairs, they're not going to be very happy that you're doing print runs of your paintings. But that's only if you're wanting to
If
go
you,
there. If you're not trying to get up there,
yeah.
then it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. And
Yeah. You can
good
build
on
a
you.
brand, independent artist. You can run your own
You-
website
It's
store.
right.
There's so many possibilities today.
So many possibilities. And
Yeah.
we work with artists all the time that are struggling to get by in life. And
Yeah.
sometimes they have to do things that they know it's not the best thing either, but they still have to do it. And that's fine. And
Yeah.
we can work with
That's
that.
fine.
It's a
Yeah.
reality of life,
Yeah. And we
unfortunately.
have to know, like, I'd rather be an independent, successful artist than a starving one, and whatever it takes.
Hmm. Well, we
Like, you
have
can't
actually had some
provide.
artists in the past that have actually
Okay.
made artwork under a different name, like a pretend name, and have made a different
Okay.
bunch of what I mean, it's not common, but people do it because they
Yeah.
almost want to. It's very commercial. It's too commercial.
Mm.
It could erode their practice, how people view them, so they do it separately. And we don't work with artists like that because that would be too challenging for us to try to resolve and present. Because our job is to represent the artists, and also the artists represent us, though.
Yeah,
So it's two
absolutely.
way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's always a two-way relationship.
yeah. I
Mhm.
would like to say
And
something maybe that might help some artists out there, and
sure.
because a lot of artists, it's very easy to build a website now, and it's obviously there's lots of templates out there, and you could build a pretty good website, and you could self-represent, and that's fine. You can do that. It might, if you do self-represent and have your own shoppable website, it might then discount the opportunity of working with a gallery. That is the byproduct of having that. Because sometimes I will come across an artist and I think, oh, I really like that person's work. But then I see they live in Australia here, not far from us, and they have a shoppable website themselves. Well, then the gallery would be competing with the artists themselves. So that's fine.
Mm,
They can do that. But it just
mm.
might mean that we might not go ahead with that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Um,
it's also what state you are in. Like, if you're a
exactly.
local artist, but if there's, if your work goes international, I think a lot of dynamics play into it, and
So much.
um, what goes, what the aim of the whole thing is.
Some of our artists, some of our best artists, some of the artists that we work with that like really sell quite well. Sounds very countercultural, right? And it doesn't sound like it should make any sense, but some of them have really amazing websites, but they only sell through the galleries. And it's actually, they limit the supply that can go out
Yeah.
from the artists. But by limiting the supply
Yeah.
and making people wait for an exhibition to purchase, they build attention up before the show, and then there's a surge on their work, and they have a concrete exhibition in a real space with other people, and that could be quite good for their practice and very good for the next show and the next show and the next show. So the price point can actually move up with that method as well, where I've seen the opposite happen with some other artists who have self-represented and think, oh, I can just do this all myself. And it actually gets really difficult, and you start taking on commissions that maybe you shouldn't have, or and the opportunities can sometimes dry up. Now, it doesn't sound right, because there's a thing, hang on a minute, surely I've got more control myself. But sometimes, and this is only for some artists, it's not going to suit all, but sometimes the gallery system can actually benefit artists in a really big way, because I've actually seen a couple of artists, and we've actually had one or two that have come through our space that have completely blown up, and like, they won't even answer my phone calls anymore. You know what I mean? Because they're so successful, and they've gone international. And it's
Yeah.
crazy. I don't even know how it happens, right? But it
Mm.
does happen to some people, and
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I knew what the
I think it's
formula
also
was.
weighing in your key strengths and weaknesses. Um, if you're somebody, let's say, who's more extrovert, who can write about your work, you can do the tech things, you can do the marketing. I think today artists have shown some incredible ways how they can build their own brands, their art-based brands, and independent artists as well, and create multiple revenue sources. But it's a choice. It also means, it does not mean that you're sitting in the studio and you're only doing one part of the job. You're running a business. There's so much more that you have to
Yes,
take care of, or have extended supply and people who can really you can rely on, and build a team. And the other base, if you think that's not you, this is not the path you want to take, and you want uh, to have an extension, a gallery, which is kind of a business partner, an interim base that can turn into more potential long-term collaborator, which is they take care a lot of things for you. They help you manage. So there's a few downsides to everything, I think, and not
absolutely.
all artists have the same path, and not you even all through your years need to have the same path. You can choose to self-represent, and then at some point you can be like, okay, you need to, if you need to get to the ground, you do whatever it takes, and then you decide where in life you are and what
Yeah,
direction you want to go
absolutely.
in. And
I mean, you asked me earlier about the challenges of running a business. Well, these are the same
yeah,
challenges that face every artist out there.
I think,
And each
yeah,
each artist has to make decisions as well on a daily basis.
yeah,
How am I going to show my work? Who am I going to show it with? Am I going to show it myself? Am I going to build a website? Are people going to deal with me? Do I need galleries?
yeah.
And they're all decisions that people have to make for themselves. One thing I would say, we actually have had a few of our artists whose work has now gone into public collections,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
state-owned galleries.
Mm.
You know, that's an interesting thing, because often that can occur a bit easier if you do have gallery representation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sometimes you're overlooked if you don't. So it's almost like credibility sort of thing. Look, you know, I don't know what that really means. That's another consideration, but it's not the be all and end all
yeah,
of everything. But there's so many paths you can take. The
yeah.
main
You
thing
choose
is
yours.
your practice is strong. Whether you
Yeah,
represent yourself or you have a gallery or you have a bit of both, you got to invest the time and energy into your practice. It's like me with my
yeah,
business. I was doing my own artwork, but actually at the moment I need to invest my creativity and time and energy actually into my business, but specifically working with artists and curating exhibitions. Like, that's like the most core fundamental part of our business,
part
representing
of
the
the, yeah,
artist and curating shows, because an exhibition, often I think about digital exhibitions, where people will just have a show online.
yeah,
I think it's almost like, on Spotify, when you listen to individual songs,
yeah,
and you can just listen
yeah.
to different songs, and it's fantastic. It's an awesome way to meet a lot of new artists. But when you listen to an album, and you listen to a classic
Absolutely.
album, and you listen from the start to the end, how it was intended by the maker, that's really incredible. So that's why I think an exhibition, a concrete exhibition in a physical space, even though a lot of our work that we sell, people don't even come into the gallery. A lot of our work sells across Australia and internationally. Now, those people don't get a chance to view the exhibition, but we've still shown it as an exhibition, and it's important for the artists to see their work in the context of
There's
an
also
album.
a tactile relationship. There's also conversation. You look at the people, you look at the nuances of how they respond to your work. Little details. I think both really like, I think the beauty of being an artist at today's time is that uh, there's so many different experiences, and every experience teaches you a different skill set. Like if you have your own thing, you're doing it online or whatever, it's not easy. We all know that, however, whatever people think, it's not easy. Marketing your work is one of the, I hats off to artists who do themselves and are very successful, because we all know it's not easy running a business. We also do all of those things, and it's incredibly hard to be able to create a demand for your own work. Incredibly hard to be able to then get a work in a physical space and then pull together the show. We all know it's incredibly hard. So all of these are such different experiences, and I feel like all artists should be able to, you should pour your hands in different experiences and figure out, okay, which one aligns the most with you at the time and space that you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I love this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not an easy journey for people, and, yeah, like you said, artists, gee, the makeup of artists, they're such a you can't there's not one type of person that is an artist.
Yeah.
They can be every kind of different personality group. Some are quiet and very timid, and just there's the most incredible artists that have disabilities and different
Yeah.
you know um, challenges in their life. Um, there are artists who struggle with mental health issues. There are artists that have a really successful business, and they don't need money from their practice. There's all sorts of people out there. So there's not one size fits them all in terms of where to show and how to show. But we're just a very small part of an ecosystem. Our gallery is a very small part of an Australian ecosystem of where to show work and how to show work. But then, you're part of a global thing as well, which is so much bigger than us.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Ren. This was a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your experience about your work and your insights. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
before I let you go, how can people, anyone who's listening to this episode, how can they learn more about about your work, about the gallery, and if they'd like to follow you, support you, ask more questions, if you're okay with that, can you let us know?
Well, I feel like our Instagram account is a good way to get an idea of our business in terms of its day-to-day running and, what we're up to on a daily sort of basis. Our website is I think it's a good website. It's made well. It looks good. It functions well. It's a good way to sort of have a look at the current exhibitions, but also the past exhibitions, even shows that are coming up, and also some of the artists that we work with all the time. We're very fortunate to have a very good staff member who's very good at photography. So we have beautiful product shots of
Yeah.
of objects, but also of the artworks as well. So there's a good clarity there. Um, you know, so look, if you want to visit our website, that'd be wonderful. Have a look on our Instagram account. Maybe follow it if it interests you. I hope everything I've said tonight helps someone out there and makes sense. So yeah, it's been really nice talking to you.
I'm sure it will. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much.